Sometimes there's just no getting away from the fact that your drum recording was awful. No amount of EQ and compression is going to make it better, or potentially there is too much bleed, which is compromising the signal. In these situations, we want to change the sound of the instrument entirely without affecting the performance. There are plugins which will do this for you. However, in this video, I want to cover the manual way of doing this. In Pro Tools, this is with a tool called Tab to Transients. So let's go over into Pro Tools now, and we'll get rid of some of these unnecessary tracks for a bit. And we're going to look specifically at our kick drum, which is here. And what I want to do is bring in a new kick track to replace this kick. So the first thing I need to do is actually find a sample. And if you're not aware of this, Pro Tools has a really useful function called Soundbase, which is in Workspace. And it has a bunch of different samples that we can use, and a library function as well to help search through those. And you can add your own sample library into this as well. It's really useful if you're doing composition using Pro Tools. So I'm going to search for a kick. And because this is a rocky track, let's see if I can go for something that's along those lines. Have we got rock? Let's go vintage. Let's see what we get. What's this? Okay, so you'll see that these come down here. That's maybe not the kick drum for me, so let's get rid of vintage. Let's find fat kick. That's quite nice. No, that's awful. So we can go down and listen to these and find one that we quite like. And just for this demo, I'm going to use this one. And then I can drag it into my session, and it should, and it did, create a new track for me, which is helpful. So we've got this tiny, tiny little clip of audio here on this track, and I'm just going to move it back here for now, and it's just going to live there for the moment. And before I do anything else, I'm going to copy it to my clipboard. So I'm going to press Command and C, or we could go to Edit and Copy. So just like copying and pasting text on a Word document, that's what we're going to do with this clip. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to enable the Tab to Transients feature. So up here on our toolbar, just in our edit controls, we have this little button which says Tab to Transients, and I'm going to turn it on. And what that means is that when I have my cursor flashing in a track like this, and I press the Tab button on my keyboard, that's the one above your caps lock, it will move forward to the next transient in our session. If I zoom in a bit, there we go. It's going to go to each of these. And you'll notice it's not doing each individual hit, it's going to the next transient. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Tab to Transient function here to start to paste in that drum sample that we've just copied to our clipboard. So the way we do this is we put our cursor, as we've just done, in our session somewhere, in our kick drum track, and we need the track that we're going to paste into to be directly next to it, usually directly below the track that we are using to Tab to Transient. And we're going to press Shift, and we're going to click into the track we're going to be pasting into, and you'll notice this cursor here is flashing on both tracks now, and that's what you want. And I'm going to experiment with this. And I told you that the wrong way around. So what we're going to do instead, we'll leave this in the video. It's good to get mistakes in there sometimes. So what we're going to do instead is have our pasting track above the track that we're tabbing to transient in. There we go. So good to check that. I always get it the wrong way around. Should definitely know by now that you put the pasting track above the track that you're tabbing to transient with. So from here I can paste in. So I can Command V to paste in here, or the quicker way of doing this is if we have our keyboard focus button on just here, so that if this is highlighted in orange, I can just use V to paste this in. So what I can do now is I'm going to expand this out, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so we can check that we've got the right transient here. So this is the start of this transient. I can tab through to all of my transients and press V, and that's going to move Okay, so here's a weird thing that I just found out about Pro Tools. So tab to transients will tab to the clip start and end, and to the start and end of each of your fades if you have multiple clips on a timeline like I have here, which is obviously less than good for what I was trying to show you. So if you're doing this method to replace all of the drums in a performance, what you're going to need is a full clip. So you can just re-extend your clip back out if you've had to edit it down like I did. So now our tab to transient is going to work properly. As we can see, it's tabbing over quite nicely there, and I can put my cursor between both of these again and get rid of that because it was out of time. And now I can press V, and all of these are going to go into place. And you'll notice I'm having to press tab twice. That's because there's a little transient back here. But that's fine. So I do know people who do this a lot, and they will buy or find a free macro program for their keyboard, and they'll set it up to run this 2,000 times or something like that. So they don't have to go through and do this by hand, and when they make mistakes like I just did, it won't mess them up. For some reason, this one didn't register, so in these cases, we can just align our cursor and press paste. These things do happen occasionally, and then we need to make sure that we're in the right track. And there we go. That's how to sample replace your drums with something else whilst preserving the performance. You can also use this method to reinforce the drums on a track. So maybe rather than using this kind of more dancey kick drum here, I can reinforce the one that I have. Okay, that's all for this session on tab to transients. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can contact me in the usual way. If you've enjoyed this video and if you've got something out of it, please consider subscribing. It really helps us as a channel, and leave a comment and a like and tell us what you would like to see in the future from this channel.